All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wicked Good Sports Talk. I am your host, Will Morris, and I am joined alongside by my brother, John Morris. How you doing, John?
Excellent.
That is what I like to hear. I heard you did some good surfing today. Very active, so that's what we like to hear. But
I had a
and
fantastic day.
yeah, that's awesome. That's
Let me
that's
let
what.
me before we get into the sports talk, I'm just gonna lay it all out there for the audience.
All right, let's
So
hear it.
last night was my buddy's birthday. Slept over there. Great time. This morning, heard there were waves. Went surfing. Absolutely firing. Best day of the summer. And then while I was surfing, who do I meet? But the owner of my favorite restaurant in the area, and he gives me 15 free meal gift cards. I mean, it just doesn't get any better. I'm on top of the world right now. It's just, yeah, I feel like LeBron James.
Yeah, well, I mean, you mean Jason Tatum, right? Not LeBron James.
Well, I don't know if I mean Jason Tatum. I
All
mean
right.
LeBron.
All right now. So, there's been some good action in sports going on. The Bruins are up 2-1 on the Hurricanes right now. Unfortunately, Tuukka Rask has opted out for the remainder of the season. So
That was
uh,
rattling.
I mean, you got to respect the decision though. But I trust Halak. Um, I think I'm not too worried about the series. I don't. Let me see when the next game is quick. Um, yeah, so tomorrow at 8 p.m. They won yesterday 3-1. Um, Charlie Coyle had a big day, picking up the goal and an assist. So yeah, we'll see what happens with the Bruins. I think for today we wanted to do a quick preview on the Celtics 76ers series, which also starts tomorrow. I think that game is at 6:30. Um, so before we get into that, I just wanted to ask you, John. Uh, Celtics played 8 games. I don't think we've had the opportunity to discuss any of those 8 games on here. So, do you have any takeaways from the Celtics' start to the NBA bubble season?
Takeaway number one, Jaylen Brown is very, very good. He plays very well on both sides of the ball. He's knocking down shots off the catch from the 3-point line, attacking the basket, a total demon in transition, fantastic on ball defender. And honestly, in bubble play, you could make the argument that he was the Celtics' best player in terms of just consistently bringing it on a nightly basis.
Yeah, I mean, he was absolutely awesome. Just bringing up some numbers here. So obviously missed that last game of the bubble. We kind of benched all our guys, but 19.6 points on about 42% shooting. But it's kind of deflated by his last game against Memphis. He had some huge performances, particularly against Portland, where he dropped 30, and I think he hit like what, four threes or something in the fourth quarter. I mean, that was absolutely fantastic. And then also went for 21 on 7 of 13 shooting against Brooklyn. That game where we just absolutely smothered the Raptors, dropped 20 in about 30 minutes on 50% shooting. All while playing very good defense too. So yeah, I agree with that. Jaylen Brown has been great. I don't know if he's been better than Tatum. Tatum kind of had that rough start against the Bucks, but he was amazing, particularly in that Orlando game. But do you have any
Yeah,
other takeaways?
well,
I mean, Tatum played really well, yes, but I feel like he needs to be a little bit more consistent in terms of the numbers he's putting up. I know he had another game where he had obviously that initial game in the bubble against the Bucks where he just shot horribly. And then he had another game, I believe it was against the Heat, where he shot like 9 of 23. And so, I mean, he's good. Like, Tatum played well, don't get me wrong. It's just, going into this 8-game stretch, I was really expecting to see superstar level things from him on a consistent basis. And I feel like he didn't really 100% deliver on that promise, even though he still played fantastically overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think that game you were referring to there was the Orlando game where he went 10 of 24. I mean, the Miami game wasn't great, but he was 6 of 11 for 23 points still, got to the line 9 times. And that Orlando game, the way he closed it, he scored 5 points in the last 40 seconds, had a clutch block. I don't know, man. I mean, Tatum had that game against Milwaukee. That wasn't good. I admit that was not a good game. But other than that, I mean, those last 6 games, 25 points on a scorching 49% from 3 on 7.5 attempts a game, over 50% from the field, shooting great from the foul line. Also, Tatum's passing has really impressed me. I think that's something he clearly worked on. I don't know. One of the storylines with Tatum over the quarantine was he did an interview and he said he didn't even have a hoop in his driveway, so he wasn't practicing. Obviously, he started practicing. He didn't go into this cold turkey or whatever, but I wonder if he was just grinding on the game film and just learning reads and stuff and improving his passing. So yeah, I don't know, man. I think Tatum has been absolutely fantastic. Other than that first game.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just waiting for him to make that jump to over 30 PPG.
I mean,
closer to it.
it's
because the way I understand Tatum's role is that he's our primary scorer. I mean, so many of our plays are just isolation plays for Tatum. Like, we give him so many isolation touches in the post, on the perimeter, all over the place. I mean, almost similar to a Paul Pierce role in terms of where he's getting the ball on offense, and what plays the Celtics run around him. So I guess I'm just waiting for him to make that jump.
Yeah, I mean, I'd just say Paul Pierce was never 30 points per game. His career high for a season was 26.
I'm not. You misinterpreted. I'm not saying I'm waiting for him to make the jump to Paul Pierce level. He's already better than Paul Pierce. I'm saying I'm waiting for him to make a jump to that next superstar level where we're actually going to have a chance in a league that is perhaps going forward going to be dominated by the Bucks with Giannis and the Mavs with Luka.
Yeah. I think I mean, it's a good thing he's only 21 years old or something. So the fact that he's doing all this at this age is, it's a pretty good sign of what's to come. I have another takeaway, sort of on a different-ish note, not a mega star type player, but Robert Williams, the Time Lord. I have been a skeptic of Robert Williams. I have been very critical of this man. Big physical, big man, has some bounce.
Has major bounce.
Yeah, and was supposedly a major draft steal when we got him at 27th, I think. It was either 27 or 26 in the 2018 draft. But man, the guy was such a low field player, he was unplayable. But, in the bubble, you still saw some of the stuff, like getting called for fouls and whatnot, not really doing anything in terms of passing. I don't know. His passing was okay, but getting called for fouls is his main problem. Just being super jumpy on the perimeter and when protecting the rim. But I mean, his numbers are crazy in the 13 minutes played per game in the 5 games he played in, 84.6% from the field, with 10 points and 4 rebounds and about a block and a half too. I mean, the guy actually played quite well. Did good in terms of play finishing and stuff like that. It's what you want from him.
Yeah, I mean, he's always had major talent. It's just been like a mental thing with him. And yeah, hopefully
Yeah.
hopefully this is what we're getting. I mean, the big thing with him is so he's only 6'8", but the big thing with him is that he has a 7 foot 6 inch wingspan, meaning that his wingspan is 10 inches longer than his height. And now in the NBA, they always talk about the +6 clubs, wingspan 6 inches taller than your height, and how that gives you a big advantage on the court. How about 10 inches taller than your height? I mean, it's craziness.
Yeah. I mean, the guy has some unreal tools, and I'm hoping that he can be a difference maker going forward. And honestly, I'm hoping he can just kind of eat up all of Kanter's minutes. At this point, I don't really think it's worth playing. Like, Kanter should probably fall out of the rotation. In all honesty, his defense is it's just been really bad his whole career, and I don't know how it's. Yeah, it's tough to watch him sometimes. As good a rebounder as he is, man, that defense is brutal. But anyways, do you have any other takeaways, or should we start previewing this Sixers series?
I don't. I would just, I would say Robert Williams is definitely a high potential player. And I mean, yeah, he has some really good games. I will say his numbers are slightly inflated from the Brooklyn game where we blew them out and he put up 18.
That's true.
But still, if you look at those other games, he in total only missed 4 shots the entire bubble.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn good.
Yeah, albeit not on a ton of attempts, but that's still very good. Yeah, I guess we can probably start talking about the Sixers. So, Philly, or like as an organization, they are undoubtedly a disaster. Sam Hinkie made all these decisions, put all these pieces in place. And then they fired him after the whole tanking dilemma. They were tired of the tanking, hired Brian Colangelo. And, we've talked about it many times. They could have drafted Mikal Bridges, and they traded him. They had Landry Shamet on the roster, absolutely amazing shooter, which is what they lack right now. And they traded him for Tobias Harris. And don't get me wrong, Tobias Harris is better than Shamet. Shamet fits what they need more. He's the exact kind of player that they need. Just decisions like that have screwed them over. And as a result, they were the 6th seed in the East, meaning they're playing against us, 3rd seed. And I think the big story with the Sixers right now is that Ben Simmons, who's their second best guy behind Joel Embiid, is out for the series and supposedly out for the season unless they make like a finals run type of deal with a knee injury. So, John, with Ben Simmons out, do you think the Sixers have any chance at all at winning this series?
No. I mean, I think they were toast even with Ben Simmons, honestly. I feel like I feel like it's just really easy to handle them. It's the key is, I mean, they could give us issues. I'm picturing the Portland game where Nurkic was able to kind of bully Tice the whole game.
Yeah.
And I can picture us running into an issue of Joel Embiid just taking that same role to a whole nother level and just murking Tice down low all game. Because, I mean, Horford could stop him, but Tice just can't. And, maybe the revelation of the healthy Robert Williams can come into play there. Because Robert Williams doesn't really have the discipline to guard him, but he does have the tools at least. Tice doesn't even have the tools.
Yeah.
So perhaps Robert Williams can take a few shots at playing on the defensive end against Joel Embiid. I mean, Tice covering Joel Embiid is a disaster waiting to happen. Cantor covering Joel Embiid is a disaster waiting to happen.
Well, that's the thing. Okay. As much as I don't think Cantor is very good, he has been pretty adept in terms of like defending Joel Embiid for whatever reason. I don't have the numbers to back this up, but he's done a fairly good job, in my opinion. I still like all the other stuff in terms of like pick and roll defense is like really ugly to the point where like you just can't really have him on the court. But yeah, I agree. I think Robert Williams has, the physical makeup to defend Embiid, tailor-made in both of our opinions. I think it's going to be a lot of double teams. Embiid is going to get double teamed in the post fairly frequently, and at times he's going to overpower even our two guys, whether it be like Smart and Tice or Smart and Williams, or like, I don't know, Hayward and Tice or whatever it is. So he's going to have to kick it out or something. But I guess my question would be to that, who the heck is he kicking it out to? Like, do the Sixers have a guy who can shoot the ball with any consistency other than Furkan Korkmaz and I guess Shake Milton too? But like, they aren't guys getting a ton of minutes,
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I really don't know.
Yeah. I mean, just looking up and down the Sixers roster, Al Horford, I guess they're probably going to be starting him at the 4 next to Embiid, which they did for the majority of the season. And man, that was ugly. Horford can't defend in space at all. And we run a lineup with, 3 wing type players. So like, they're going to have to be playing in a zone or something, because you can't have Horford defending the perimeter against one of Brown, Tatum, or Hayward. That's going to be very ugly. And then, Tobias Harris and Josh Richardson. Harris can get hot from 3. If his shot's falling, he can be effective. But when his shot isn't falling, he is very, very poor. Because the defense is really bad. And then, shot's not like, if he's just like a shot chucker who can't play defense, then he's a liability on the court. Josh Richardson, I don't know about that guy, man. Like, he really doesn't do anything.
Yeah, he's a nothing player. He's a guy you play for like 25 minutes and he doesn't show up on the box score or pass the eye test.
Yeah, I mean, well, he plays 30 minutes. He played 30 minutes a game this year, but like, and like his defense was okay, but like, he can kind of shoot. He can kind of handle.
That's what I was
I
just
wouldn't
saying.
classify him as like a good defensive player, but
That's what I
like,
was just saying. Like he
yeah,
just kind of disappears.
yeah. I mean, the guy, he was pretty good in Miami, but he just doesn't fit the Sixers system at all. And then Shake Milton, I guess, is their other starter. Um, I really liked Shake when he was coming out of SMU. I still think he's a pretty good player. Has some size. The issue is he's very much like not really a point guard. Um, he's more of like an off guard, but he's the closest thing the Sixers have to a point guard. So he's running the one for them right now. He's a good shooter. He's him and Korkmaz, as I mentioned, are probably their two best shooters. But yeah, his defense isn't great either. Kemba is gonna absolutely tear that guy apart.
Yeah. So how many games, Will?
You know, I think this is gonna be 5 or 6, probably 5. Because I do worry about Embiid a little bit because the guy he's a monster. He's really, really dang good. He's capable of like dropping 40 points on us, so I can see them winning a game, maybe 2, but I'm really, I don't want to seem cocky about this, but I have a hard time seeing this dysfunctional Sixers team pulling it together and beating the Celtics, who have been playing pretty good basketball. How about you?
I agree with you.
Yeah,
I would say 5 games.
5 games. Yeah, I mean, the other thing is Embiid is like kind of fragile and he gets winded pretty easily. He's not in great shape. He's their star player, and he didn't even play 30 minutes a game this season, just under the 29. But like you can't just play Embiid for like 40 minutes, give him every touch. He's just not. He just doesn't have the durability to pull that off. So yeah, I'm like he'll probably score 40 on us a couple games this series, but like there's gonna be at least 13, 14 minutes a game where he's not on the court,
And at that point, we chow.
That is right. At that point, we get Al Horford at center and just run some pick and rolls. But yeah, so I think both of us pretty confident that the Celtics are going to be able to pull this series off. So maybe we can talk about the rest of the NBA playoff bracket. Any first round matchups that you're particularly excited about, or players that you're excited to watch?
Well, obviously, like everybody else, the one, the only, Damian Lillard.
Mm.
He is the Kia Bubble MVP. And I got to say, he's an intriguing player going into these playoffs. What do you think?
He is electric. I mean, we were both watching that the Grizzlies game. I think he only scored 31 points, but that Nets game, we were both watching that, and it's just crazy the gravity that guy has. They're like trapping him in the half court. Like it's nuts. He pulled it from the logo during that game and hit it. So I'm excited to see him. I think he's capable of like averaging 40 something a game for the first round series. Unfortunately, he plays for Portland. They're not very good, particularly on the defensive end. Um, and they happen to be going up against LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and the Lakers. And, Portland barely beat a banged up Nets team and a young Grizzlies team that was also banged up as well, missing Jaren Jackson Jr. It's
Yeah.
it's gonna be a blowout, man. I love Dame, but this is gonna be ugly.
Dame, I know, but I would say that Dame is playing so well that there's a chance that the Lakers only win 4-0. There's a chance.
Yeah.
No,
Maybe.
it's gonna bring out the broomstick. It's gonna be a sweep. I really just think it's gonna be close at all. I mean, it's one team that's way, 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 way better than the other. I know people love the Dame run, and I love the Dame run, and Dame's been playing lights out. I can't take anything away from him playing like a top 5 player in the league right now, honestly.
Yeah.
But his team is just booty. It's just booty. I mean, the fact that they lost to the Nets, that's the team that the Celtics beat by like 47
Well, they beat the Nets. They beat the Nets. They barely did it, but they beat the Nets.
Okay. No, I meant to say that. I didn't mean to say lose to the Nets. I meant to say they had a competitive game against the Nets when the Celtics blew that team out by over 40 points.
Yeah.
I think oftentimes it's really tough to do these comparisons where you say, oh, this team won by this much, but then this team lost to that. I mean, usually those are ridiculous because basketball is such a game of matchups.
Absolutely.
That being said, when it's over a 45-point victory, it does give you some perspective on just how lopsided the rosters of the two teams are. And so, I mean, if they're having a tight game against the Nets, I just don't know what to say. I mean, you're going against LBJ, AD.
Yeah. I mean, Portland did give us a run for our money. But yeah, I'm totally with you. It's not going to be good. The Lakers are going to win that by a lot. 2 series I'm excited for. One more narrative based, quite honestly, but it's Thunder versus Rockets. Obviously, in the off season, you had longtime Thunder great Russell Westbrook traded from OKC to Houston for Chris Paul and some others. Or I don't think there was any other players. I think it was just a boatload of draft picks. And you got Russell Westbrook going up against his old team, the Thunder, who they're a really good team. And I don't know, Rockets are probably going to win, but that would be so amazing if OKC won that series because OKC was not supposed to be here, and they had an awesome season. And if they kind of, if they beat Westbrook, it would be like a ha 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 in your face kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you what do you think about that? Do you think the Rockets are going to pull that one out? I mean, I'm hoping the Thunder can win, but James Harden is really, really good at basketball.
Well, it'll be cool to watch CP3 and Harden, 2 former teammates, duke it out all game long. Obviously, CP3's assignment will most likely be covering Harden. And, it'll be really you could put Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on Harden as well.
Yeah.
Both him and Chris Paul are good defenders, but I can picture Chris Paul being the weapon of choice just so that he can try to get in Harden's pocket and not let him create space. But regardless, it's definitely going to be interesting. People forget just how good that CP3 Harden Rockets team was. Had
Yeah.
CP3 not gotten injured, I guarantee you they would have beat the Warriors that year and won the finals. So it's, CP3 and Harden are two fantastic players. It's going to be a fantastic series, and I look forward to seeing the result.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a fun series. I got one more for you. This is the other one I'm excited for in terms of just like watching it. It's the LA Clippers versus Dallas. The Clippers have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George. In my opinion, or I suppose they're my pick to win the championship over the Bucks and the Lakers and whatnot. I really like the Clippers. I like what they have going. But Dallas is a really feisty team. Luka Doncic is dynamite. I don't know if you watched that Bucks game, John, where he had like 34 points and 19 assists. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely ridiculous. So I really think the Mavs, just on the back of Luka, and they have Kristaps there too, Kristaps Porzingis. I think the Clippers are going to win that. I think it's going to be a 6-game series though. Do you have any thoughts on that Clippers Mavs series?
Yeah, I mean, I would just say it's definitely going to be a really entertaining one. Luka is going to put up a fight, despite their rosters being lopsided. Luka Doncic is good enough where I think he can pull the Mavs to a win or two. I know that sounds like a lot going against the Clippers, who I agree with you are the best team in the league, but I'm imagining that Luka is going to really try to up his game in the playoffs, and he's literally playing like the MVP of the league. I mean, I really think he. If I had to pick the most valuable asset in the NBA right now, it's Luka Doncic, and it's not even close.
Yeah, I mean, Giannis is really dang good in terms of asset, but I agree. I think Luka is number one.
The reason why I think it's Luka by far is that I can see him playing forever. Just the way he moves, the way he can shoot the ball, the moves he's developed to this point. I can't see Giannis playing as long as I can see Luka play. And I feel like right now, Luka's better anyway, and younger. So, like I said, I know Giannis is also extremely good, but I think Luka's the number one asset, and it's not really that close.
Yeah, I mean, Luka Doncic is nuts. I don't know. I usually don't like ranking players like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, but with this guy, Luka, it's just like, you see people arguing on like Instagram or Twitter or whatever, like, oh, he's the best. Oh no, he's not top 10 or whatever. He's not there yet. And I'm just like, watch this guy play and just enjoy it, because you're like watching an all-time great right now. Like this guy is so good. When it's all said and done, he could really be in that like Jordan, LeBron type conversation. What he's doing at 20 years old, getting that Mavs team to the playoffs, it's ridiculous. I mean, the guy is just absolutely otherworldly. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I think at this point, it's going to be tough for the Mavs to beat the Clippers. But I will throw this out there. Last time Luka Doncic was in a playoff setting, it was in the EuroLeague, and he led Real Madrid to the EuroLeague championship. And, the rest is history. But I don't know. The NBA is a little bit different from the EuroLeague. So I don't know if he's gonna be able to pull it off. Just looking at the rest of the playoffs here, I guess there's some interesting like series in terms of you got the Nuggets versus the Jazz, you've got the Heat versus the Pacers, Bucks Magic, Raptors Nets, and then Lakers Portland. Those are probably all non-series, really. Probably sweeps. I really think the Nuggets have a chance to sweep the Jazz too. Which might be a hot take, but I really think the Jazz are playing very poorly right now. But yeah, I mean, do you have like an early pre-playoff championship prediction? Hello, you there? John?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I think I lost you for a second there.
Yeah, I think your connection cut out. Can you repeat what you said at the end there?
Yeah, I was just asking you, before the playoffs begin tomorrow, do you have like a finals prediction on who you think is gonna make it all the way?
Well, right now I'm thinking Bucks Clippers.
Yeah, great minds think alike. I've got the same finals, and I'm guessing you have the Clippers winning because you said they were the best earlier. Hello? Hello?
Mm-hmm.
Man, I think we're having some connection troubles, but I'm assuming you have the Clippers winning it all.
I do. Yep.
Yeah, and yeah, so I guess we have a little bit of time left here, about 8 minutes. So maybe we'll just talk about the Patriots for this last bit of time. So for the NFL season, who knows if the NFL season is going to happen? In all honesty, college football has canceled. There some conferences had Big Ten and the Pac-12 have canceled their seasons. NFL, it seems like they're going to play. There's no way there's going to be fans. I don't know how it's all going to work, but I guess we're going to have this conversation assuming that it will happen. So Patriots have lost their fair share of players. Patrick Chung, Dante Hightower, even like Brandon Bolden have all opted out of the season. Matt Lacoste as well, one of our tight ends. So, I think earlier we've discussed the Patriots and how we think, like with Cam Newton, we can be a playoff team. Do you think with all these losses, we're still going to be able to make it to the playoffs? Or do you think like losing Hightower and Chung and the other guys are not as important, but those two mainly? Do you think this like drastically changes our playoff chances? John, do you hear that?
No, I missed that as well.
Jeez Louise. Okay, so basically with all the Patriots players opting out, do you think we have a chance to make the playoffs still?
I really don't even care that much for this season. It's going to be in the bubble anyway, or in not the bubble for the NFL. They decided, but some type of weird COVID thing anyway. I don't think NFL is going to be followed quite as closely as it has been. And I'm really not all that concerned about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be, yeah, who knows how the NFL season is going to end up.
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah, you really just don't know at this point. I'm hoping that it happens, obviously, as a fan, but I completely understand if it doesn't work out. Assuming it does happen, I still think the Patriots have a chance at making the playoffs, even without Hightower and Patrick Chung. We have good depth at safety, and Belichick has made it work with Marquise Flowers and the Landon Roberts in the past at linebacker. So losing Hightower stinks, but you still have Juwan Bentley, who's going to have to take on a bigger role this year, but in the absence of Hightower. But yeah, I still think we have a chance at making the playoffs. But as we've discussed in the past, and everyone in New England should be aware of by now, the Super Bowl run is really just the Super Bowl window is probably closed at this point. We're not really going to make a deep run in the playoffs. Okay, so we have about 4 minutes left here. The end of the show has been kind of rough with the patchy connection. I don't know if you can hear me right now, John, but do you have any other stuff to say about the world of sports? I know we haven't really talked about the Bruins much or the Red Sox or anything, but do you have anything else to say? John, hello?
Yep.
Man, I don't know what's going on right now, but I was just going to ask you, we kind of covered everything that we were going to get to efficiently, but do you have anything else to that you want to say about the world of sports?
Nothing else comes to mind.
Nothing else comes to mind. Yeah, so Bruins play tomorrow at 8:00, Celtics at 6:30. Tune into those games. Sports are back, which is great. I think the Red Sox are struggling right now. But yeah, that's going to be it for us. So this is Wicked Good Sports Talk, and so long.